So let's talk about academic Olympiads. You hear that term, and for some, it's all about achievement, right? A badge of honor. But for others, it just sounds like more stress. Today, we're going to cut right through all that noise. Are they actually a help or just more homework? Let's find out how they might just be the secret weapon for your child's success in school.
All right, let's just tackle the elephant in the room right away. This is the big question every parent asks, isn't it? Aren't Olympiads just more pressure on my child? And you know what? That's a totally fair question, so we're going to face it head on.
It really all comes down to how you look at it. The common view? It's just another competition. More pressure, more rivalry. But what if we flip that? What if we start seeing them as a powerful tool for learning? Something that actually helps with school? That simple shift in perspective, well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. Okay, so what do I even mean by a learning tool? Here's the key. A good Olympiad program isn't about piling on a bunch of new stuff to learn. Not at all. It's about taking what your child is already learning in their school classroom and just strengthening it. It's like reinforcing the foundation, not adding another story to the building. So, how does that actually work? How does it happen? Well, it boils down to 5 really key academic boosts. We're talking about getting clearer on concepts, developing better thinking skills, mastering time management, building real confidence, and even fostering a more positive mindset. Let's break each of these down one by one. All right, first up, let's talk about the foundation of it all, making concepts crystal clear. This is so important. See, Olympiads aren't about throwing a bunch of new topics at your kid. It's about taking what they already know from school and digging a little deeper. It's the difference between just knowing a fact and really understanding why it's a fact. And here's where the magic happens. When a child truly gets the why behind something, instead of just memorizing it for a test, school exams suddenly get a whole lot easier. You'll see that revision time gets shorter, and all those frustrating little careless mistakes, they start to disappear. And that deeper understanding, it leads us right into our second big benefit, way better thinking skills. Let's be honest, school exams today aren't just about spitting back facts. They're about application. They want to see kids using logic, reasoning things out, and really solving problems. And this is so crucial. The kind of thinking they practice for an Olympiad isn't just for the Olympiad. It's a habit. It's a skill that pays off everywhere, in every pop quiz, every chapter test, every final exam. It's a skill they'll use for years. Benefit number 3 is a big one, and it goes way beyond the classroom. We're talking about time management. Seriously, learning how to work accurately and efficiently when the clock is ticking, that is an absolute game changer for any student. I like to think of it like training for a sport, right? When you practice under pressure, you build that mental muscle. And it's the same here. Kids don't just get faster at answering questions, they get more accurate too. They learn how to pace themselves, which is a huge advantage in any school exam. Okay, on to benefit number 4. This one is something you can actually see. It's a major boost in classroom confidence. And it's not just parents who notice it. Teachers often tell me they see a huge change in kids who get involved in these. So what does that actually look like? Well, picture this, your child's hand shooting up in class. They're jumping into discussions, answering questions clearly and with real confidence. That kind of active, engaged learning, you just can't put a price on it. And all that newfound confidence brings us to our 5th and, honestly, maybe the most important benefit of all. Developing a positive mindset. And this brings us full circle, right back to that initial worry about pressure. Because what happens is kids start to see a tough question not as something to be scared of, but as a fun puzzle they actually have the tools to solve. And here's the crazy part, the paradox, if you will. This is how preparing for an Olympiad can actually reduce exam stress. I know, it sounds backwards, but when kids learn to reframe challenges, they go into tests feeling calmer, they stay focused, they don't panic. And that, of course, almost always leads to a better result. So when you put it all together, what do you get? You see how these 5 things create a real, tangible impact back in the classroom. You've got more active participation, clearer answers, less stress around exams, and it all adds up to better performance, built on a foundation that's absolutely rock solid. So at the end of the day, it's really not about the ranks and medals. I mean, those are nice, but the real prize? It's the whole process. It's building that strong foundation, those sharp thinking skills, and a confident attitude towards learning that's going to stick with them for life. So, Let's circle all the way back to that first question we asked. When you shift your perspective, the answer becomes pretty clear, doesn't it? The real goal here isn't to add more pressure. It's about cultivating growth. It's about giving kids skills that will serve them long, long after the test is done. So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. What if the biggest prize your child brings home isn't a medal for the shelf,